Chase Thomas podcast. My nephew needs me to record. See, I already hate it. I hate it.
All right, hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Chase Thomas podcast from still the aforementioned Chase Thomas, coming to you live from Knoxville, Tennessee, Everything School HQ, where a certain Tennessee linebacker hails from. The Gainesville Red Elephants. Jeremiah Teelander played a lot of ball for Tennessee down the stretch, who I like a lot, and the guy coached him, and the guy is coaching one heck of a program down there in Gainesville, Georgia. The Gainesville Red Elephants head football coach, Josh Niblett. Josh, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Chase. Appreciate you having me on, buddy. I hope you're doing well, and it's exciting when you emailed me and asked me to come on the show, so I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I love talking ball with you, man. You're very real. You're very honest, and you're building a different kind of program. And look, Gainesville is just a rising juggernaut in the state of Georgia, and we'll get into some classification and region changes that I want to pick your brain about. But I mean, it's been 2 great years. But my first question to you, sir, based on what you saw, now that 2 seasons are in the books here at Gainesville, has it gone just about how you expected it to go? Are you satisfied with your first 2 seasons? I understand no titles yet, but are you satisfied just through 2 years how it's gone?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I mean, we're never satisfied, but I mean, I think anytime you're a competitor, you want to win championships. I think the last time you and I talked was probably April of 22.
Yep.
And so, you know, we were just getting ready to embark on spring ball. I mean, which, you know, was a huge deal with us coming in January, and that went well. And then, you know, we had a great summer, and kids kind of learned exactly the culture we were looking for. And then, you know, we went into that season. You know, I didn't know exactly, just because I don't know a lot of the landscape in Georgia, but I just knew, hey, we're going to focus on us because that's all we could control. Our kids trusted in what we were doing. We started off the year playing against Marist at Marist, so that was not an easy start. And we ended up beating them by like 10 points or something like that, and played well. And then we went on a run and ended up the year at 14-1 and played for the state championship against Langston Hughes. And of course, they were a really good team, and we had an opportunity that, you know, we really felt like we should have probably won that one, if it not be for 58 seconds right at the end of the first half.
Yeah.
We gave up 2 scores and had a turnover. And so that was one thing, though, we learned. And I really had a lot of respect for that senior class. And, you know, they didn't have to believe in what we were doing. They didn't have to trust in what we were doing, but they did. And so, you know, the next year we came back. I told them the first year I got here, you know, we had to prove everybody wrong. Second year I was here, we got to prove everybody right. So once you go to the finals, everybody's looking for you to make it back. And then I think our kids felt like, you know, hey, we want to get back there, but it's a lot harder to get back to that point than it is just saying it. So really like this group we had. And, you know, we started off like we did last year. We went 10-0 regular season, won the region championship, and then we got beaten in the 3rd round against Woodward Academy, who ended up making it to the state championship game. But, you know, like I said, I think the maturation process of where we are in our program and how we're growing, you know, we just got to keep getting our numbers up, growing our numbers, keep getting these kids in our school involved in football, getting them to understand, you know, it's all about the G, and there's a pride to that, and there's an ownership and a commitment to that. And I feel like our kids have trusted in that, because I'm not a buy-in guy. I don't want guys that buy in, because I think they sell out when it gets tough. So, you know, for us, just trusting in what we do, love each other, and love the journey, and our kids have done that.
What when you think about year 2 and year 1 going in, did you have the same expectations, or did it look at you were like, all right, here's who we lost, here's who we brought in, like the more realistic expectations, or do you have the same expectations year to year regardless of what personnel you have?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think first of all, it's expectations that I put on myself. So you know, every year I'm trying to do it better than it's ever been done before. And so, you know, when you get to the finals, of course, from a football perspective, and I think we get lost in that a little bit, but from a football perspective, it was, hey, we got to find a way to win the last game. You know, our goal is to win the opener, to win the region, and to win the last game. And if you're doing that, then there's a good chance that you're going to have a really, really good football team. Well, the last 2 years, we've won the opener. We've won the region. We just hadn't won the last game. And so we've got to take that next step. But I think the expectation from year 1 is us doing something that hadn't been done in a while, especially with a team that was coming off a 5-5 mark and didn't make it to the playoffs, that nobody gave much of a chance. And then we came in here and just said, hey, look, it's all about us. I mean, it's this room, whatever it's made up of, and this locker room and our staff. I mean, this is all we got. This is all we need. And so let's look to get better every day. We had a lot of shared experiences with each other, and we kind of set the tone for the next group. And, we had some good seniors last year that came back from the first group that, were in pivotal positions, the quarterback position, the tight end position, the wide receiver position. So we had some guys at some of those spots. We had lost a lot of guys defensively. We had some young guys coming back, but we had lost some guys defensively. And so, well as I do, if you want to win football in November and December, you got to be good on defense. And, our staff, Steve and our staff did a really, really good job of getting our guys ready to go, figuring out what our identity is. We played really, really well on defense this past year. So, yeah, I think the biggest thing was the expectation was let's go finish it. And so, being that we didn't finish it, of course, it's disappointing, but we had our banquet last week, and I told our guys are champions. I mean, I know now I'm not trying to make it sound right, but I mean, these guys chase best every day. I mean, that's what they work to do. And, we came up a little bit short. I mean, and the thing about it, every year, everybody comes up short except for one team.
Mm-hmm. When you talk about culture and what you've been able to establish, how would you describe your culture 2 years in? If we were to ask a player who's now played for you for 2 years, how would they describe the Gainesville football culture now?
I think they would, just kind of love each other. I think one of the things that we talk about on a day-to-day basis is really, it's what we call our non-negotiables, and I think that's what our building and our platform of what we build our foundation off of. And the first one is consistency. And the consistency has the letter I in it that we underline and change a different color because we want our kids to understand, look, consistency's on you. You got to show up every day. You got to give effort every day. You got to have a great attitude every day. You got to want to be coachable every day. You got to want to treat people the right way every day. So you got to be your best you in order for us to be our best us. And so, that's one of the things we do is consistency is number one. Number two is trust. We don't have any trust in our building, and it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter what you call on fourth down. It's not going to matter what you call in the red zone. It's not going to matter, what you ask the kids to do or, the relationship that we have with each other from a staff to a player to player, and coach to coach if we don't have any trust in the building. So it all starts with trust and building that. And so that's a big part of our program. And then the last thing is best. Our kids would tell you that it's all about chasing best in our program. So, best is that first two letters, which is the BE, is B. I think a lot of times we think chasing best is what you do or what you have, but it's really who you are. And so do we wake up every day and our opponent say, oh man, they woke up today? I mean, so that's our goal is, we're going to show up every day, give our best effort, everything that we're doing. You can't flip it on or flip it off. But if people talked about our program and you ask our players, I think the number one thing they'd say, hey, we want to be consistent in what we do. We want to trust each other, and then we want to be the best at what we do.
What was the hardest part about coaching this year's team versus last year's team for you?
I think the biggest thing is there was no expectation the first year as far as outside in. And I think sometimes you can listen to a little bit of the outside noise. I mean, and it wasn't like we were getting just pats on the back or, hey, y'all are a great team. Now everybody's like, hey, let's go win it. And so I think sometimes when you think as a player and as a coach, when you get to that moment and you don't win it, it's almost like you think you're promised to get back there again and get another shot at it. And I warned our kids about that from day one, and I think they trusted in what I was saying. So I don't think they really, looked into that a whole lot. But I think the thing was, even in the back of your mind, there's a little bit of entitlement that when you've played for it, you think you deserve to get back to it, especially when we didn't win it the way we didn't win it with not playing well for 58 seconds, that, hey, look, it'll just happen again. We'll get back there. And everybody worked their tail off to get us back to that point. We fell short. But I think that was the biggest thing that I talked about on a day-to-day basis is continuous growth. Like, we're not where we want to be yet. All right. So if we want to get to that game and get to play that last game, then we got to play every moment. We got to seize the moment, know it's our moment, and not look too far ahead. Because I think sometimes you'll sacrifice what you have now for what you want later. And we talked about that, and I thought our kids did a good job of that. It's hard to go 13. It's hard to go 12-0 anytime. And so that your kids are doing something right and believing in what we're doing, but just guarding against entitlement of, hey, we deserve to get back there, so that's going to happen.
What was the game that surprised you the most based on your week of prep and what you thought and how you thought the game was going to go, based on like what your personnel you're bringing in there and then what actually ended up happening in the actual game? What was the one for you?
Well, I thought our region was a little bit down this past year. I think, starting the season off, I tell you what was pretty impressive. The more I look at the group this team that we played against, when we played Coconut Creek out of Florida, I didn't know much about them. I knew they had some guys that were in the NFL, and you go back and look at them like, I think it was St. Thomas Aquinas beat them out of the playoffs last year, which St. Thomas Aquinas beats everybody out of the playoffs. Yeah. But I didn't know exactly how good they were going to be. But then we beat them, and we beat them pretty handily. But they were very, very good on defense. But I just thought our kids did a really good job. There were some areas we didn't match up as well with, but our kids did a really good job of matching up better than I thought we would. So it gave me a little bit more of an identity of what our personnel was. And then once we beat them, you go back and you look, and Milton loses to like Western High School, in Florida when they traveled there. But then all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, Coconut Creek beats Western. And then they play Chaminade, who, that ended up being like number 2 team in the country. They played them to a 1-score game. So that was the one game that I thought was pretty awesome for our players that, I think was a measuring stick for us early on. I think that was game 2. But then for us to know by game 6 or 7, I always look back to see how the teams that we play are doing. And to be able to evaluate that at that point in time and to see how well that team was doing, I think it was a credit to how well we were playing.
Do your guys get up more for those kind of games? Like, is that something that's just become like not almost like a playoff game where you're playing some of these better teams all across the country, that it's a unique opportunity for these kids? Is it a different approach and a different kind of vibe on the sidelines for those games?
Yeah, I think so. I think you hype it up a little bit more, but like here, they've never really done a lot of out-of-state games. And so this is kind of new for them. Next year, we're going to Moody, Alabama, who's got some really, really good players, kind of an uprising team in Alabama. And their class, I want to say class 5A in Alabama. So, they've got an up and coming young coach, Jake Gainesville, that does an unbelievable job. They've had some kids move in, but they've got some really good players that are, projected to be, high recruits that are still young. And then going on the road into Alabama, where I'm from, it's pretty cool also. So, we'll play that game on a Thursday night, which there won't be a lot of football being played on that night. So hopefully there'll be a lot of people there. Hopefully we'll show up and play well. But we'll leave out on that Wednesday and spend the night and, try to make it a great road trip for our players, something great to experience. So, I think that's highly important for us. So anytime you play those kind of games, you want them to be amped up. And then, we're going to have plenty of amped up games this year because we're playing out of our classification.
Yep.
The first 4 games. We start off with Marietta game 1, then we go to Moody game 2 in Alabama, and then game 3 is Westlake at Westlake, and then game 4 is Carrollton. And so, we're playing some really good talent, and all 4 of those are on the road because our stadium is getting renovated right now. And so we will not be able to play inside it till September the 20th, which is our first region game. So, I've got to do a good job as a head coach getting our guys prepared for that. How do we do that? Well, we'll just try to find ways within what we're doing in the off season to put our kids in as many situations as we can where they don't feel comfortable, just like they're not going to feel comfortable when they go on the road. So somehow you got to get comfortable in the comfortable. And so I think that's what these games are all about.
Are you going to be done? Because we've heard about these stadium adjustments and things like that. There's a school here locally. I don't know if you know Gibbs High School. They do they're pretty well here in Coreyton, but it was a mess, and they had to play all of their home games at Carson Newman a year ago. So it's tough. So is there any you feel pretty good that the project's gonna be done? You'll get your home games this fall.
Yeah, I do. I feel really, really good about it. I do. I think it's one of those situations where right now, as soon as the season was over with this past year, they went into working on it, and so
What are y'all adding? Are y'all adding seats, jumbotron? What's being added?
Well, I was trying to see if I could pull it up for you so I could show it to you. Yeah, I think the neatest thing about it, like we've already had a jumbotron, but I think let me see if I can pull this up for you so you can see it. I don't know if you can see it big enough though. So I don't know if you could. Well, let's see. It's kind of.
I can see it. Oh yeah. Okay.
But you can see. So they've taken the upper deck part off and the press box, and then now they're redoing the upper deck, and then the press box will have 5 suites in it. Also, and so it's going to be a neat setup. So we're looking forward to getting into that. And, the weather's got to stay good so you can get plenty of days of work in it. That's for sure. But it's kind of like when I built a house, you ride by there every day. You don't think much is getting done. It's taking forever. But I'm sure there's stuff being done. It's just when you ride by there every day, you can't see a lot of change. So
they see Coach Niblett driving by. They're like, oh, we got to like you're doing first things. Like, I mean, how is the coffee? Well, how's the coffee routine? We were talking about that last time. You're a big coffee guy. Like, what is the current intake for Coach Niblett?
You're catching me at a tough time. So I'm drinking some coffee right now, but this is decaf. So I'm on my 21 days. I'm on my fasting right now. And so I started my fast on Sunday. And so I do like a Daniel fast, but I do no caffeine too. And so it's interesting. So Monday.
Are you getting any headaches? How are you dealing with it?
Well, Monday I had the worst probably migraine headache that I have one every year, and that's when I start my fast. And then I got sick at my stomach, sweating. I mean, it was bad. I was thinking to myself, like all these people that deal with detoxing from drugs and alcohol and things. I mean, I can't even understand what they go through, and I'm trying to deal with just no caffeine. So
it's just caffeine, but you're not. Or is this included in a diet too, or is it just caffeine?
No caffeine. I mean, really. I mean, I'm eating vegetables. Fruit, no meat, no meat products. Yep, no meat, no dairy product. That's probably got a little bit to do with it too, that I'm hurting a little bit. But I'm getting into, day 5, day 6. So I'm good. I always tell people, say when you fast, if you don't have to pray about it, help God to help you with it, then it's just a diet. So, for me, I've had to pray about it so I could, get through a couple of these first few days. But, it's just something that I started doing last year, and I just felt like I need to do it again this year. And I think it's a good way to start the year off. But I still love my coffee, though, so don't get me wrong.
There you go. Were you surprised that Jeremiah Teelander was able to get on the field a lot this year as a true freshman at UT?
Not at all. I just, I know what kind of player he is, but I know most of all what kind of person he is. So, what kind of heart he's got, how intentional he is. So I knew if he got an opportunity, he was going to make the most of it. And he has made the most of his opportunities. And I look forward to watching him continue to develop and mature and, through the spring ball and trying to go out there and win a job.
Who does he remind you the most of as a coach? Like who does he flash as his best potential, full potential at UT?
Well, I mean, you're talking about as far as like, remind me of players that I've coached, or
either, players you coach or skill set, and maybe even NFL players, things like that.
Well, I think the thing that makes Jeremiah so unique is he's so athletic, but he's so physically athletic. Like it's kind of hard to explain. Like you got athletic players and you got physical players, but the special ones are the ones that can be physically athletic. And which means he uses athleticism, but he can be physical within that athleticism. Like if he's coming off the edge and, he's got to be physical with some kind of, whether he's trying to get off a block or he's trying to spill it or box it or whatever, or he's got to go make a tackle and he's got to leave his feet. Does he have to go, jam a receiver and then go make a play on a ball? All those little bitty things that you have to do from a linebacker position, I think are highly important. And he plays the position, especially in that conference, that, if you don't have that skill, you get exposed. And, I think that's the neatest thing about him. But I think I would have to really, really get to know somebody else because it's hard for me to compare him to anybody else. Marlon Humphrey, who played for me at Hoover, that plays for the Ravens. Now, he's kind of a DB, safety, covers everybody's best player.
But a lot of linebackers are having to do that now.
Yeah. Well, he had that same kind of intentionality, wanted to be coached hard every day at practice. Would always work on stuff in between drills. The thing about Jeremiah was as soon as we stepped foot on the field, I mean, he was intense from stretch all the way to the sprints at the end of practice. I mean, like it never changed. If we were in the weight room, it's the same thing. He just tackles everything in life with attention to detail, and he's intentional about what he does, and he's focused in. I mean, it's a focus. I mean, that's what he is. He's just a very focused and driven kid, knows what he wants to do, knows where he wants to go, and knows how he wants to try to get there.
I like it. Vols are in good hands in the linebacker room there. He's a good player, man. I'm excited. He's going to be a good guy going into next year too. What position group are you most hyped about this spring? Maybe it's because of a position battle, but when you're thinking about the depth chart and your roster for next year, what this spring has you most hyped personnel wise?
Well, I think anytime you lose your starting quarterback, then I think always when that room's competitive and there's a competition in that room, it only makes your team better. And so I'm excited about seeing who comes out of that room. I think offensive line, I'm excited about that because I think this year we're going to be bigger than we ever have been. So I think there's some great potential there. Of course, we got to put it all together and be able to do the things that we need to do to be successful up front. I like that because that's going to be a competition because we got a lot of depth in that room. And then watching our guys on the back end, the defensive back end and the linebackers, I think they've got some depth. I think we got some potential there. We got some guys that haven't played a whole lot that, we're excited about getting a chance to evaluate. And then we got some guys that are coming back from last year that made some plays that, really got to play more at the end of the year than they did at the first of the year. So I'm excited to see their maturation continue to grow and make sure they're where they're supposed to be growing and trying to push the envelope, push the edge a little bit, continue to chase best. And so I'm excited about those groups because I think that's highly important. And so that's why I don't really mention names. I mean, because it's not about the names in the room. It'll be about the name once the name decides, hey, it's my job. But right now it's about competition. And we want to make sure in those rooms that we're competing and everybody's trying to win a job. And so, we call it spring with a ring chasing training. But for me, it's really job training. Who wants to win the job? And so, the more we continue to take our numbers chase to another level, like we start getting our numbers up in our rooms, then it just creates competition. It's kind of like in Oregon right now when Dan Lanning was talking about the two quarterbacks, when you have Gabriel and then Ward come, or not Ward, Thomas,
the 4-star kid. Thomas. Yep.
When you got both those kids coming to the same place, and that, hey, both of them are really good players, but then one of them knows that, hey, one of us ain't going to play. They're not going to have a 2-quarterback system. Now, they might play 2 quarterbacks the first 3 games to see who wants to win the job, but that's because they want to compete. And so I think that's one thing we miss in college football right now, and we're starting to miss it in high school football because kids are moving schools so much, is just want to wake up every day and be a competitor, man. Wake up every day and compete. Like, I think we're living in a world where we just want to find the easy way out all the time. And, life ain't always easy. Like you got to work for stuff. And I always tell people all the time, the only thing that's worth having in life is what you work for. And if you don't have to work for it, it's not going to last. It may bring you a little bit of delight for a little while, but it ain't going to last. And so, that's the one thing I've always thought, about all of our players is if you play in our program, you're going to work hard. You're going to have a work ethic. You're going to go when you get a job. You're going to be a great husband one day. You're going to be a great father one day. You're going to take care of your family, and you're going to be a leader in your community.
I love it. Final question here for you today, Coach. Classification region changes here. You're now in Region 7 in 5A, and you've got 2 big dogs here, and I've had them both on this program, and obviously Milton, who we alluded to here at the top. I mean, Tennessee's got all 3 corners from Milton committed to this program going into 2025, but you got Milton, and then you have a great offensive coach in Chris Pruitt over there at Roswell. They've got a great program over there. What are you most excited about when you look at this new region, new classification for your group?
Well, I'm just excited about the competition. I mean, I am. I'm excited.
High quality.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and the thing about it is you come out of this region, I mean, and you come out of the first 4 that we're playing, and you're in the playoffs, then, you're battle tested. So, I mean, I don't see how you're going to see that many people that's going to be that much better than what you're seeing during the regular season. So I take a lot of pride in that. You know, when I was at Hoover, I mean, we want to play everybody. You know, we want to play the best teams we can play. I mean, that's the only way you're going to find a way to get better. I mean, now all of a sudden you're playing the 7A state champion who's not 7A anymore. They're 5A, you know, and, you know, so we got to play them. And then you got Roswell, who we played in the semifinals 2 years ago. And then there's other teams within that region like Lanier. I mean, last year, I mean, I think they lost, 1 or 2 games. And so, you know, we played them really for the region title, and they ended up second. They won a first-round game, got to the second round. So, you know, they're expecting to do good. And then everybody else is looking to have better seasons. And so you're going to get everybody's best. So, you know, I think it's going to be a lot of high-level football. And so, you know, will be a lot of high-level players, a lot of high-level coaches. And so we just got to make sure we're one of those teams that are playing at a high level.
I like it. Coach, how do the good folks support Gainesville football this spring and everything you got going on in Hall County?
Well, I just want everybody, you know, we'll have some things going on to where, you know, people can get involved in our booster club and, you know, our athletic club in Gainesville and, you know, our touchdown club. And, you know, we'll do some stuff with our, you know, our people around businesses around here where we just try to get people involved with what we're doing because we got a great thing going on right here. And, you know, we just want, you know, as much support we can because it's all about, you know, giving these kids as many opportunities as we can to be successful. And, you know, and it takes those things where everybody's rallying together and chasing best. And, you know, and that's what we got to do. So, you know, we're looking forward to continue the off season and got to grow it and continue to take this thing to another level.
There you go. Good luck this spring, Coach. I'm excited to see what year 3 looks like for you in Gainesville, and we'll reconnect again as we get closer to the high school football season, which will be here before you know it. I know it's January. Man, these months fly by, and this is a big time for a lot of the programs, yourself included, to figure out this personnel, get ready for summer installs and all that, and we'll go from there. But, Coach, thank you so much, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Chase. Appreciate you, brother. God bless you, and go Big Red.